Hello, everyone, and who is here, everyone who's watching this later on. Welcome to the final installment of the fall semester professional development series from Beyond Barnard, exploring your transferable skills. So in this workshop, we'll talk about skills, what transferable skills are, how to figure out which skills you like to use and which skills you'd like to leave behind as you move forward in your professional lives. I'm Lindsay Granger Weaver. I use she, hers pronouns, and I'm the Senior Associate Director of Internship Programs here at Beyond Barnard, also the Equity Lead. And I'm really excited to be here, to have you all here. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat or come off mute at various points. There will be a time at the end for general Q&A. So let's get started. Folks are still coming in. Hello. Please mute yourselves for this part, but feel free to come off mute again or put any questions you have in the chat because I can actually see it today. Small victories. So here's the agenda. We'll go over what transferable skills are and why they're important and why generally understanding a skill set is important. We'll then go over some steps for making your skills work for you. So for figuring out what exactly your skill set is right now, where you would like to see it grow, where you would like to see it contract, places that you would like to, do more with, things that you're like, I never want to do again. We'll really talk about those things, why that's so important, do a really quick wrap up, and then leave plenty of time for Q&A. But first, we're going to play a game. So I need you all to be prepared to put things in the chat, come off of mute for those brave souls. We're going to play a game called Name That Job, where I will provide a list of skill sets and kind of job description, very brief job descriptions, and you can let me know what you think the job is. So let's get started. So first, here are the hints. I will let you all read them instead of me reading them aloud. And so just like first ideas, first stabs, if you want to drop them in the chat or talk, either way is fine. So do we have any guesses for someone whose job generally has this these skills as a requirement? Therapist, good guess. Career advisor, an advisor, okay. These are not me, I swear. Any others? We got a couple interesting ones here. HR, okay. All right, so this one is actually, hold on. So it's actually a lawyer. So a lawyer does all of these things. Maybe not this particular lawyer. She did some interesting things on her TV show, but a lawyer does all of these things in interesting ways. So next one. These may look familiar. And I haven't seen it in the chat yet. So any other guesses about what this skill set could be, where it could fit? I'm sure you're starting to get where I'm going here, but anything else? Almost all jobs. Well, this one is a teacher. The teacher does the things. These are all skills. And think about the differences in like the jobs of a lawyer and a teacher, but the skill set, the job description could be characterized in very similar ways. Oh, financier. That's actually one I thought of, but couldn't find a cool picture. So I'm sure you see where this went. Any other ideas? Because this one actually has not made it to the chat yet, either directly to me or to the group. Just throw it all out there. I think the almost all jobs smiley face got to the meat of this activity, because wait staff, I have regularly been stressed out talking to wait staff, and they use their expertise to guide me in the right direction. So why did we do this? Obviously, different jobs could require similar skill sets. Also, to think about the importance of environment. And when thinking about your skills, it's not always what you do. It's very important to figure out where you'd like to use a skill set, what maybe the degree to which a skill is used or not in a specific job or specific environment may help with career decision making. Also thinking about, something we'll dig into, especially in, I guess what would be the third part of this, separating jobs functions, so like the skills from actual job titles, because that's another great way to start to explore where the things that you're learning now in your internships or your campus jobs or wherever you're working could be useful down the road or in different spaces. And also hopefully to break the ice. I've done a couple of workshops this semester of just talking to silent black boxes. And so hopefully this got you engaged a little bit. If not, I tried. So now back to the what and why of transferable skills. Thank you for indulging my activity. So transferable skills are exactly what they sound like. They're skills that transfer. They're portable. You can use them. You learn them in one place. You use them throughout your career. Definitely ones that are generally applicable. So there are certain things, maybe like minor applicability. The fact that I know how to use Canva sometimes comes in handy here, but that's not a transferable skill in the traditional sense. But they do span like hard skills, which are some of those more skills that employers are willing to train you on, but also things like software, things like a Canva, or things like, using Microsoft Office, for example. Definitely a transferable skill because everyone uses Word. And then soft skills are skills that are more interpersonal. You can't really train for empathy, but that is something that is useful everywhere. And so as you think about transferable skills and think about your skills, you could consider what you've been doing now, or even things that you did in high school if you're a first year, or even if you're not a first year, if you've been working for a while, or volunteering. Like, what sorts of skills did you pick up back then that you're currently using, because that really highlights maybe some of the ones that you've got in your life. So it's important to understand transferable skills because they can add meaning to what could otherwise be a meaningless job. I don't personally think any jobs are meaningless, but some of them are kind of unrelated to certain things that you may think you want to do in the future. Or things that you're just like, I'm here to get a paycheck, but you are still gaining valuable skills that you can put to use in the future. Thinking in terms of transferable skills can also really help you, again, like contextualize the experience. Think about how, one thing that you learned can be applicable for the rest of your professional life. I like to say that one hard skill that I learned in my college work study job was how to unjam a printer. And that really came in handy like throughout my career, because I've always just been like, oh, you take off slot A and take off slot B, and here we go, printers. So, I mean, that's a silly example, but also just like how something so basic can like bring you on and can like build on, or be useful throughout your career. It also assists with pivoting. So even right now, if you're doing something that you're kind of trying out, or if you're in an internship that you don't think that you want to continue with, you can also use these skills to see like where else you could use that same skill set. So thinking about like the game, for example, if you are a waitress or a waiter, wait staff, doing any of those skills, it's like directly applicable to other things. And so really understanding which ones can transfer, also getting into which ones you actually would like to continue to use is super valuable to just get in the habit of thinking about it so that you can then act on them moving forward. So here are some examples of transferable skills. They're pretty large buckets of them, but you can also kind of drill down a little deeper within the bucket. So within leadership, like taking initiative is really, really important. Teamwork, like collaboration, not necessarily successfully doesn't mean winning necessarily. It means getting along, without killing each other. Can you work with people and still maintain yourself and your composure? So all of these are things that, if you look at any job description, you'll really see. The degree to which an employer wants to train you on these things varies, but if you have them, then it's either really great for them, really great for you, or it can be like a value add. So a lot of like technical skills can become value adds depending on the industry and depending on the position. So use this list for a minute. Does anyone have any to add to this, or any that you're thinking about for yourself that either fall into one of these buckets or is another standalone bucket that you want to share? You can put that in the chat. Attention to detail, yes. That would probably be one of the practical skills, but that is very important. Good one. Right. So think then about where you've gained these skills, the places that you gained them, also places maybe that you honed them, like employment or internships are really big ones because that's kind of what you're doing. There are things that a lot of workplace skills, a lot of those practical skills you gain from just the act of working, regardless of where you are working. Clubs, other extracurriculars, sports are any of these, coursework and research, and then independent projects. So if you have a small business, if you're a gig person, if you kind of do things, teach yourself things on the side, those are all places where you've gained skills, you're honing the skills that you can then apply to whatever your career pursuits are. And so now I'll get into kind of the meat of this, which is how to make these skills work for you. Couple steps. So steps 1 and 2 are to name the skills and sort the skills. So naming them really helps you figure out what you're actually doing. Sometimes if you're so in the weeds with the job, or if your position has multiple pieces, it's really hard to kind of like figure out what you're doing because you're just in the act of doing it. And so naming the specific aspects of your job, breaking it down into the tasks and responsibilities, as opposed to these like larger projects, is really useful for then being able to look at the skill set, see what it is, and see where you can apply it in another place. Again, it gives you a handle of what you've actually been doing this whole time, whether this semester, this whole year. So really like name the thing so that you can sort the thing. And sorting is necessary because they're not all a tier, right? They're not all things that you want to continue to do, things that you enjoy doing, things that you dislike also, things you're good at, things that you're not good at but want to get good at. And so when you sort them into these buckets, and we'll go into what those buckets are in a second, it's really that makes you able to act on what the skills are and see, make them work for you in terms of like your career exploration and your career development. So I guess I wrote it out to figure out what you like, where you want to grow, and what you want to avoid moving forward. And so how to name and sort, writing it down is super helpful. Getting the things out of your head onto either physically writing it down, typing it out. Vision boarding is also a really fun way to like find a picture of the skill and put it on the board or sort that way. However you want to organize this information in a way that is tangible so that you can go back to it, but also so that it feels like you're acting on it, because that's really useful. And you can do it for current activities, former activities, go back as far as you want to, because you've constantly, everything you've done has been building your skill set. It's just A, calling it a skill set, and B, figuring out where things fall. Writing it out also helps you see, wow, I've done a lot of things in this one area, or, you know, I've liked a lot of things in this one area, and then helps kind of like makes things make sense for you. And so then when you review your list in the sort, ask yourself things like, what am I good at? So what are the things on the list that you're like, yes, that you feel that you've either mastered, or you feel that, you know, if given it, if someone said, what's your greatest strength? It would be one of those. And then narrow that down a little bit more to things that you enjoy being good at and the things you dislike being good at. Because the things that you dislike that you're good at, but you don't like doing, are what's in my industry called burnout skills. And those are the things that you would like to avoid moving forward. Most people have them in their careers and have them in their lives. Mine, for example, is doing logistics. I'm really good at being really organized, but then afterwards I like need to take a nap because that brings me no joy in my job. And so thinking about those things, like they're things that you, if you see them in a job description, as long as it's not the biggest part of the job, then it's something you might want to enjoy, a position that you might want to pursue. The things you enjoy being good at are the things that motivate you and keep you interested in the roles, interested in kind of like the industry. And so paying attention to those things, like what gives you energy and what saps it, is probably a good way to gauge the enjoy versus dislike. Is necessary. It's a really good way to sort. The things that you want to do better, so things that you like, but that you're interested in pursuing further, you're not sure if they bring you joy yet, or you're not sure, maybe if you know that you don't dislike them, but you're not sure the degree to which you enjoy them, figure those out. And then the things that you would like absolutely never want to do again. Because that will help again with like exploring careers, exploring pathways. If you're in a networking conversation, if I was in a networking conversation and someone said, yeah, this job is all about managing calendars and planning travel, like, and this is where I leave you, because that would not be something that would work for me. So review the names of, like, write down the names of the skills, and then apply this list and maybe other questions that are important to you. These are very general ones, but I think if you use that list, your list of skills, and apply this filter and just kind of like sort them out, figure out what would go where, kind of deal them out like cards, it's really helpful then to be able to act on the sort. So really the thing is like exploring the skills further, so that the skills that you want to build and the skills that you enjoy, you can use those particular buckets to then see what careers would align with those, or what other positions, maybe if your internship is ending in a few weeks and you want to look for something new for spring, try to use that list as a guide to see like what else is out there that you can start to build on what you like and build on what you want to learn, so that you can test out a career that you may actually be satisfied with. Volunteering is a really great way to try out skills. It's very low stakes. Also like job shadowing, also talking to people who are doing jobs with skills that you would like, or skills that you want to get better at. And then independent projects and side gigs are good for self-guided exploration. They're good for testing things out, very low stakes, because it's just for you often. But there are also things that you can put on your resume if they're successful. And so it's not something that is completely lost. And then you can uncover transfer points for the skills that you want to use. So where all of these transferable skills can be transferred other places. And so a website called Ownet is really helpful. It's run by the Department of Labor, and it's a very robust career database. And so all you have to do, there's on the homepage a box, a search box, you can type in a job title, but in this case, you just type in a skill and they will give you a list of all of the places where that skill is applicable. So a list of job titles, which is what one request we get often at Beyond Barnard. And then you go to that list and then each one is connected to a page that is the most information you can ever get about a specific career path. And so that's one place that you can start to figure out where your skills could be used outside of what you already know. Reading job descriptions is another one. I think those Ownet and actual live job descriptions may help you come to understand like the different environmental factors of the skills. Also different companies, it can help you see like, does this job look the same across different industries? Does the skill set look the same across even different companies with the same job titles? Networking is another, it's sometimes underutilized, but super helpful. And just, one of your questions can be like, this is what I like, how much of this can I get here? Or this is what I dislike, how much of this will I have to do in this type of role? Because people will be very honest about their jobs. And so taking advantage of that information, like outside of actually doing a job yourself, talking to someone who is doing it is the best way to get the insider information necessary to help make career decisions. And that's hopefully as you are exploring careers, exploring skills, that's what you're doing, making career decisions for yourself. And then advising here at Beyond Barnard, some of our programs here at Beyond Barnard, especially ones where you get to talk to people. Career Insights is great for asking alums about specific industries in a group and hearing those different perspectives. And then in advising, we do have career assessments that kind of talk through a lot of the skills and where they could be placed. So I think there are a ton of ways that you can act on the sort. I think that one of the best is to think about what you're doing, look at the environment that you're in, either on your campus job or your internship or volunteer opportunity, and talk to your supervisor about where can I build this skill or what more can I do that's more aligned with what I would like to do and see what those options are. Then the big picture of this I've kind of been hinting at, but it's just laid out there, is that thinking about skill sets and job functions, which are skill sets, is more important really than thinking about job titles at this stage. Because positions are a collection of skills. Environment is very important too, as we saw in our opening game. But following a skill set and knowing the things that you like to do, the things that you're good at, the things that you need to do in your career, will help you have like a more satisfying career overall. Job titles change a lot. Even, now across industries, being like a data analyst could mean a different thing at an advertising firm as it would at Google or it would here at Barnard, And so thinking about the ways that job titles are one thing, but what you actually do is more important. Or another way, thinking about what do you want to be when you grow up versus what do you want to do when you grow up? Because what you want to do is a lot more active, and then it helps you kind of like build towards something and also pivot if that's something that job title is something that you actually end up not wanting to do. So follow your skill set, do what you're good at, do what you like to do. And then that's really the pathway to career satisfaction. So to wrap this up, again, transferable skills are good. Understanding transferable skills, even better. Skills, so what they are and then what you like is really, that combination is the sweet spot. Revisit this often. So kind of make it a habit to maybe when you change jobs or at specific points in a year, or as you meet, some specific personal milestones, look back on what you've been doing, really reflect on it, go through even like the naming sorting process again, just to see if the things that you liked to do on November 17th, 2022 are the things that you liked to do and want to build on March 25th, 2023 or December 31st, 2025. Like, this is a process But if you get in the habit of kind of revisiting and reflecting on what you're doing, then you're always going to be able to kind of like build toward the next thing that you want to do, and also be able to make informed pivots towards, again, towards the things that will make you satisfied as other environmental factors in your life change. And, the hill that I will die on as a career advisor is that job functions are more important than job titles. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for coming. If you have questions, feel free to come off of mute, put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer in any way possible. You're welcome. All right, well, it looks like a lot of folks are leaving. So thanks to those who stayed. Thanks a lot for coming, and have a great rest of the semester.